And I think Tesla, it's a win-win situation because when you look at the big three, what's happening here, it's a debacle in Detroit because ultimately this is going to be passed to the consumer when eventually they do get a deal. And the EV strategy, I mean, this is a gut punch to borrow Farley, what they've built over the years. And I think that's really the frustration right now in this Rubik's Cube, where I believe the UAW deal, if they took that, it would essentially impair the business models for us in the next decade.
Why is it that Tesla's demand has been so soft? Is it simply that they've overproduced and they can't cut prices enough because there's just no pent-up demand additionally for EVs? And there's another, but why is it that those delivery numbers and that they have so much excess inventory right now? How long is it going to take for that to be absorbed?
If anyone has a cure for secondhand embarrassment, DM me on X. I am in dire need. CNBS have absolutely fumbled the football today in one of the most embarrassing pieces on Tesla I've ever seen. This in reaction to Tesla's Q3 delivery and production numbers. I will give them credit. CNBS are really earning the acronym today. So the numbers are in. In the third quarter, Tesla produced over 430,000 vehicles and delivered over 435,000. As they say, a sequential decline in volumes was caused by planned downtimes for factory upgrades, shout out to the refreshed Model 3, as discussed on the most recent earnings call. Our 2023 volume target of around 1.8 million vehicles remains unchanged. This, of course, is a gigantic non-event. And if for any reason you hear any folks claiming that Tesla is a busted growth story, deliveries are collapsing, they've got a problem with demand and so on, you know you are hearing from a disingenuous clown at best and a very dishonest, deceptive, manipulative liar at worst. If Tesla hadn't told us ahead of time that there would be planned factory upgrades and there wasn't a refreshed Model 3, it would be a different story. But of course, you can't produce vehicles if you can't produce vehicles. And while you're doing upgrades to production lines, you can't produce vehicles on those production lines. Now, let's quickly rewind the clock. Look at Tesla's Q3 deliveries over the last 5 years. Although, as I mentioned, Tesla does eventually deliver every vehicle they produce, so much better to focus on production. 430,488 despite shutdowns this quarter. A year ago, 365,923. That was in 2022. In Q3 2021, 237,823. Q3 2020, 145,036. And in 2019, a whopping 96,155 vehicles produced. So it's worth pointing out that despite the planned shutdowns and a loss of production on the order of 100,000+ vehicles, year over year, Tesla's still significantly up in terms of vehicles produced. And now with that out of the way, I just want to warn everybody, please make sure you're not consuming any liquids or eating, unless of course you're willing to risk either destroying your keyboard/laptop and or just choking to death, as I almost did as I was recording this. The folks at CNBS are about to embarrass themselves like you've never seen before. Oh, and just a quick heads up, if you guys haven't seen, posted an exclusive Q&A over on Patreon today, plus an exclusive video yesterday on blood work and biomarkers, and about to drop another video exclusive to my ex-subscribers in the next 24 hours. So check the links in the pinned comment if you'd like access to that exclusive content.
Let's bring in Dan Ives, Managing Director of Equity Research with Wedbush Securities. Great to see you.
Hey, great to be here.
Very, very busy times. I mean, you don't even know which piece of this to start with, and you've been quite clear about how bad you think this strike is going to be for the big three if they get what they're demanding. Is there any way in which Tesla also comes out a loser here? Because its workers demand more, it tries to unionize them or something to that effect?
Sure. I mean, there's always been a fear of unions at Tesla. I just see that as basically minimal probability that's going to ever happen. I think Tesla, it's a win-win situation because when you look at the big three, what's happening here, it's a debacle in Detroit because ultimately this is going to be passed to the consumer when eventually they do get a deal. And the EV strategy, I mean, this is a gut punch to borrow Farley, what they've built over the years. And I think that's really the frustration right now in this Rubik's Cube, where I believe the UAW deal, if they took that, it would essentially impair the business models for us in the next decade.
To be clear, even if a fraction of what the UAW are demanding of the Detroit 3 is agreed to, it won't just impair the businesses, it will kill them. They were already on the endangered species list before this, and now massively increasing costs, being forced to overpay people they can't afford in the first place. It's just going to accelerate their inevitable bankruptcy.
For the big three, that is, it will impair the business model because they'll be forced to pay so much more to the workforce that they will not be able to invest in the conversion to electric vehicles?
Exactly. I mean, if I look, if they actually sign this deal, I mean, these business models, the street would basically view it as an Everest-like uphill battle to ever be successful, because it's ultimately one hand tied behind their back. They're going up against non-union Tesla, non-union Rivian, foreign automakers, and that's why right now champagne on ice has been for Tesla in terms of the pending competition that's coming out of Detroit. And that's why this UAW, it's a nightmare on Elm Street in terms of what's happened in Detroit.
Why is it that Tesla's demand has been so soft? Is it simply that they've overproduced and they can't cut prices enough because there's just no pent-up demand additionally for EVs? And there's another, but why is it that those delivery numbers and that they have so much excess inventory right now? How long is it going to take for that to be absorbed?
The fuck is she talking about? Now, in case you guys don't know, most of the folks in the mainstream finance media don't know anything about anything. There are some exceptions, but they are exceptions. Instead, they have a producer in their ear telling them things, feeding them information, supposed information. They're just talking heads. Great example right now. Apparently, Tesla has a lack of demand. The CNBS believe they have evidence of a lack of demand, and apparently there's a huge buildup of inventory. What? Actually, what? Sorry to do this, CNBS, but fact check. What do we have here? Individual model numbers. Tesla inventory in the United States, Model 3, Y, S, and X. Now, we just heard apparently there's a huge buildup of inventory. Really, CNBS. You have literally a few hundred Tesla vehicles in US inventory in total. A few hundred. Historically, this number has been in the multiple thousands, as in single model alone. Y, over 5,000 in inventory. Model 3, over 2,000. We're talking a few hundred. Less than 420 Model X. Less than 300 Model 3. Less than 200 Model Ys. The fuck are they talking about? Oh, that's right. They don't know what they're talking about. What a surprise. I mean, hello? What are they talking about? A build-up, you morons. Never attribute to malice that which can be explained by brain damage. So I'm going to assume that the folks on CNBS, the producers in particular, are just suffering from brain damage. Oh, those quarterly deliveries are less than they were last quarter. They didn't explain why that would be, so there must be a problem. There must be a lack of demand, and that must mean there's a build-up of inventory. You fucking idiots. I cannot believe the level of potato. I mean, seriously. Absolute fucking amateur hour over there. But don't worry. They dress very sharp, so you can trust them.
So we think it's really fourth quarter. I mean, if I look overall, take a step back, if you look at 1.8 million, what I believe is going to be deliveries for the year, that's a super strong number relative to the environment. I think margins trough, and Phil's talked about that as well. Q4, I think you have a Cybertruck that starts production, a refresh of Model 3, and I think in China, they actually start to gain more share. That's why, in our view, this is more of what I view as a pause into the next phase of the Tesla growth story, which is why we've been telling our investors here, you continue to own this name.
How did they go from not being able, a year ago, not being able to meet demand to the situation where they are right now?
The f*** are they talking about, bro? This is classic, all-time classic. I swear. Now, again, it's just speculation, but somebody at CNBS here has thrown all of these talking heads under the bus. They sound like morons. Oh, quarterly delivery numbers are less. That's a problem. It's not like they explain why they'd be down because there'd be planned shutdowns for upgrades. Let's spend the entire segment asking about a lack of demand, a build-up of inventory. What's gone wrong with Tesla? I hope Dan actually summons up his testicles and calls him out on this, because I don't know what the f*** they're talking about, and he seems to be overly polite in his responses. You guys remember earlier, we looked at Tesla's last 5 years of Q3 deliveries, right? And production, right? Remember that? The trend? Up. Yet constantly, quarter after quarter, these same kind of comments and discussions have taken place in the finance media, including on CNBS. Oh, there's a lack of demand. Why is Tesla struggling? Why is there a build-up of inventory? Same story. Yet how's it possible that we've just seen Tesla's gone from delivering less than 100,000 vehicles in a single quarter 5 years ago to delivering around 400,000 this quarter, despite planned shutdowns? Is it just me, or is 400,000 more than 100,000? Oh, it is? Yeah, okay, right. So...
yeah, I
what
mean,
happened?
look, demand definitely softened. We've seen that in China in terms of essentially a price war that's happened in China. But I believe the poker move of cutting prices, that was the right thing. I think we've seen it in the stock in terms of stimulating demand for Tesla. But no doubt, they are definitely going through a transition in terms of what we're seeing with demand in the U.S. globally. But if you look at scale and where we believe they could get to production, we're going to be looking at next year or two, a company that's going to be 2.5 million, ultimately in the 3 million, what they're going to see from a delivery as well as a production. I think this is just, Tyler, in my opinion, this is just what I'll call the middle phases of the next phase of the Tesla growth story taking place.
I wonder, though, about competing with BYD. I mean, they have more models. They update them more quickly. They have more colors.
All right, guys. It doesn't happen that often, but I just had to cut my instant reaction I just choked to death laughing. I literally just choked and nearly died. Maybe my eyes are watering a bit. They have more models. They have more colors. Uh-oh. Tesla, look out. BYD have more options for consumers to choose from. Like how Apple are in big trouble because they only have two variations of the iPhone, the big and the not big. I think that's a technical term, right? Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Should Apple be concerned about some random smartphone manufacturer that has 24 different colors of phone in 12 different sizes? Probably not. Yep. You may have noticed Tesla makes one category killer per category and is literally killing every category they do that in. This is a winning strategy. An additional benefit of doing so is huge economies of scale. If you're making 500,000, 700,000, 1 million, 2 million of the exact same vehicle, by the way, Model Y will be over 2 million vehicles per year, not long from now. You benefit enormously from economies of scale. Use the same parts in more vehicles, you can buy them cheaper, you can make them cheaper, etc. BYD is making something like 1/8 the profit per vehicle sold that Tesla's making. There's a perfect financial example of why too much variation and complexity is not the move. I just can't believe she said that. This is the level of thinking on CNBS. BYD has more models and more colors to choose from. Doesn't that mean Tesla's in trouble?
You know, it's already, Chinese models are like some of the top selling vehicles in Europe already. They also have, what's the smaller one with the four letters? Anyway, it's not just BYD, which is formidable, but there's other Chinese automakers as well. And you read about these are not like, low cost, cheap businesses. BYD is it's like the Japan of the 2020s in terms of the impact that Japanese automakers had on the market back then. So you do wonder if Tesla, even having an advantage to the big three, how does it not get undercut?
How does Tesla not get undercut by companies like BYD from China selling electric vehicles? Now, look, maybe I hallucinated the fact that Tesla's making 6, 7, 8 times as much money per vehicle sold as BYD. But if I didn't hallucinate that fact, by the way, I didn't, how in the flying does a company like BYD undercut Tesla? They don't have as much wiggle room. If BYD tries to undercut Tesla on costs, but Tesla's making many times more money per vehicle sold, BYD will go from making a small profit to making no profit to losing a small amount to losing a huge amount, selling vehicles competing against Tesla that even if Tesla copied and chased BYD's prices down, Tesla would still be making thousands of dollars per vehicle sold at the same time BYD was losing thousands of dollars per vehicle sold to compete with Tesla, to undercut Tesla. This is logic 101 here. It stuns me. Again, the folks on CNBS don't know anything about anything. They just talk. They get told what to say, what to believe, the way things are. Again, there's some exceptions. Not many of them. This is pretty embarrassing. It is Tesla with the ability to undercut all other automotive manufacturers on Earth because they have the industry-leading profit margins. The exact same thing they're wondering, couldn't BYD undercut Tesla, is what Tesla's doing to the whole fucking industry. Jesus.
And if they keep the Chinese cars out of this market, maybe it'll be fine. But how does it not get undercut?
Look, this is an arms race. I mean, this is a Game of Thrones that's going on. And you see what happened in China. I've seen it firsthand. BYD, NIO, Xpeng, and others. I mean, it's some of the best EVs out there. I think where Tesla has been so successful is because of their ability to expand gig in terms of Shanghai, what they've been able to do from a price perspective. And the Chinese consumer, especially in the high end and rising middle class, they do want Teslas. But to your point, do Chinese EV vehicles come here into the U.S.? Ultimately, that actually becomes the issue.
Now, I don't want to ruin the end of the movie for you folks, so spoiler alert, that's exactly what's going to happen. There will be an invasion of electric vehicles from China and Korea in the United States and in Europe. That's not a problem for Tesla because Tesla still has the best tech, the best prices, the most scale, compelling products. They're the company dictating terms of pricing in the electric vehicle industry, which is the future of the automotive industry. An EV invasion from China is no big deal. Do you want to buy a Tesla or a Chinese Tesla? Exactly. The problem is for companies like General Motors and Ford, Volkswagen, Toyota, Chrysler, and so on. They're fucked because they cannot compete at all on costs. They're bleeding insane amounts of money producing EVs rather than making tiny margins like the Chinese EV makers, at least some of them. Tesla's won the decade, just a matter of watching it play out. But the number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 spot for vehicles sold globally are now up for grabs. And whereas today, there are some European, some Japanese, and some US companies on the top 10. By the end of this decade, there will be none. In a distant second, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 12th place will be Chinese EV makers. Not the names most people today know and love. This is the strangest CNBS segment I've seen in a long time. All the questions they're asking, as if they're concerned about Tesla, are actually really bullish points about Tesla and very concerning for companies that aren't Tesla. It's like everything's backwards.
Because that's going to be...
What do you think will happen? If you have a second Trump administration, there will be presumably tariffs or protections against the importation of Chinese vehicles. I would guess.
So
I don't know.
They're still on him from his first administration.
Well, yeah, they're still on it.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened right now, look what's happening out of the Beltway. Detroit Big Three. I mean, it's been gut punches from UAW, but now if you ultimately have Chinese EVs come in, that would just add to the worry. So I continue to see that as a cement wall that does benefit Tesla, benefits the Big Three. But right now, they're in that cage match with the UAW, where in my opinion, that's really the frustration that's building, not just in Detroit, but across the industry.
It seems the one missing plank for Tesla would be if they had a Model 2 or some kind of lower cost mass market car that could compete against the Chinese or just make it more affordable for a lot of Americans who might be tempted to switch. But that feels like it's just way off in the distance at this point.
Oh, my flying spaghetti monster. I mean, Giga Mexico, that factory that Tesla has already announced, the initial site to produce the next-gen vehicle. Then an update, we heard in Walter Isaacson's biography that the very first production models will actually be produced in Austin, meaning Tesla currently has 2 factories, one already constructed, certainly it will expand, and a second in the early stages will be constructed at record speed. By the way, it's Mexico, a lot less red tape than there is in the US, and way less red tape than there is in Europe. 2 factories that, let's say, 18 months from now, at most, could begin production of this next generation vehicle. Between now and then, we've had a massive refresh to Model 3, first launching in China and places that the China factory ships to, like Australia. Shout out to my Aussie friends. That refresh Model 3 will find its way to the US very soon, probably next quarter, maybe early 2024 at the latest. Oh, and then there's the Cybertruck launch. Oh, and then there was a surprise pseudo refresh of the Model Y. You guys heard about that, right? And then there's an inevitable massive refresh of the Model Y, which will follow the same specs roughly as the Model 3 refresh, rear screen and so on. And by then, you have first production and deliveries of the next-gen Tesla vehicle. Actually, I'm just kidding. You know what? She has a good point. The time perspective on CNBS, 1 day is long-term. So obviously, 18 months or so, that's so far off into the distant future. It's just, I can't even think about how long that is.
But I believe by the end of next year, a sub 30K vehicle is introduced by Musk, plus with Cybertruck. And that's why I just view this is in the early days, even with Supercharger and the sum of the parts. This is not an auto company. This is a disruptive technology company. That's why we're buying here, despite what I'll call definitely nothing right home about type of 3Q delivery number.
So am I being an unreasonably deluded Tesla fanboy, or did CNBS fumble the football big time? Now, I'm only reacting to the full clip that I found posted on the interwebs. Maybe there's some missing context. Surely there must be. But not once in that segment, when CNBS were claiming that Tesla had a problem with demand, claiming, falsely by the way, that there was a build-up of inventory. What the fuck? Not once did they mention the planned factory shutdowns for the Model 3 upgrade. Not once. The stuff that Tesla told us ahead of time would be occurring and would explain why quarter-over-quarter deliveries were down sequentially. Not once did they mention that. Instead, the entire narrative seems to be Tesla's got a problem. There's a lack of demand. Also, Chinese EV makers are a threat because they have more models and more colors. So real talk. Am I being a deluded fanboy here, or is this one of the most embarrassing things CNBS have ever done? By the way, to win such an accolade is quite an achievement. They've been off the mark on Tesla so often, it's incredible. But this is a doozy. I just don't get it. These quarterly delivery numbers, in any case, are a non-event. Tesla doubling down on this release, that they're still on track, give or take, for 1.8 million vehicles delivered in the full year. Insane growth. And an absolute tsunami of catalysts right around the corner. Give or take, 1-2 quarters from now, I'm certain the refresh Model 3 will be available to order in the United States. Cybertruck deliveries commencing soon. Tesla Semi continues to quietly ramp up. The end-to-end video demo of FSD V12. Holy shit. I'm telling you, I'm doubling down on my prediction. First Tesla Robotaxi somewhere on Earth, probably California, probably San Francisco to be specific, in late 2024. I just want to repeat that. It's late 2023 as I record this, and I personally believe roughly 1 year from now, the first Tesla Robotaxis awaken. Let that sink in. And soon after that, the next-gen vehicle, $25,000 US, give or take. And we know there's going to be two variations, a dedicated robo-taxi and a compact vehicle and or just a much more affordable vehicle, probably compact as well, for consumers. In the next 18 plus months, 24 months at most. Oh, and how much is Tesla stock down from all-time highs again? Was it like 40%? Sure, it's nothing. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links to the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon. And don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.